back, everybody. It's the Long Play Listening Party. I'm Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records. Nate, what's going on?
What's going on, everybody?
And we've got Brandon Phillips from Mensa Deathsquad. If you haven't listened to last week's episode where we played the first half of the album, you should go back and pick it up. But we'll be listening to side 2 today. And I don't have... Nate, do you have the first song off the top of your head there? Or I can look it up. It'd be number 8, I think.
Yeah, it's
going to be title track. Title track from You Will Hear Thunder.
Is it the title track? Okay.
Yeah.
Now are we just gonna?
Let's jump in. Let's just jump in.
All right, let's drop in.
Brandon, I didn't let you say anything. Sorry.
No worries. I'm great. I'm considering relocating.
Sure.
Cool.
We'll let people listen to the music for a little bit while you relocate.
And where I was drawing a blank last week when we were talking about performances, kitschy, cats running in front of people, or that kind of performances, and then I mentioned one that I thought was really well done. The group is called Sylvan Esso. And I will bring up the track for the example I'm talking about as well.
Think of me, lover, and you will hear thunder.
This has got I love this sort of Depeche Mode swing to this.
Yeah, I hear that.
I could just see Dave strutting around to this one.
Yeah, I was very consciously going.
Yeah, that's a great point that you bring up, Howie, because I was gonna mention that I hear a lot of some of that Violator.
For sure, it's got that shuffle, and I mean, I'm an enormous Depeche Mode fan, so that's a huge compliment.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. I take.
I mean, how did you? I mean, obviously you probably had a lot of influence behind this, but would you say Violator or some of the tracks off that, made its way into some of these arrangements or sonics in these songs?
Yeah, for sure. And I know I tried to do. I at least tried several times to get some of the same vocal production techniques, and then I was like, this isn't working.
Yeah.
I just got the voice like it. But yeah, there was...
I do like the vocal production on these, for sure. Whatever you did, worked great. But
it's a different thing, right? And you don't want to... We set those goals and those touch points out there, but yeah, you don't necessarily want everything to just go in one single direction. You want to pull a bit from here, a bit from there, and yeah.
Well, it was kind of like a generally 80s thing that I really liked, that was like, you would hear it on Depeche Mode records, you would hear it on NXS records, and you would hear it maybe like Psychedelic Furs or some place like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a point where there was a lot of really good kind of low intensity baritone male vocals that were really like, they weren't husky, but they were really like sexy and and
no, I know what you mean. Yeah,
like people don't really do that, or at least that kind of fell out of fashion. Like, at least it has fallen out of fashion a lot in the last, I don't know, 10 years or something. Because now everything's kind of in sync, even if it's not.
Right.
But like, everything's a little bit Backstreet, even if it's not. And
no, man, I couldn't agree with you more, man. I love that style. I do, and because I think part of it is that it's one that if I could sing, that's what I would want to sing. But two, it's just like, I think it sounds great, man, and I think that's a great target to shoot for if that's what you were shooting for. And yeah, I think the vocals on all these songs sound really good.
Brandon, so when you set out to make the first Mensa Deathsquad album, or maybe you didn't even know what it was at that point, had you made electronic music before? I mean, we talked about you made this intentional choice to make some electronic music, but did you have any background in that at all? Any experiments, or were you just starting cold?
I had done things for years, like buy synthesizers and play around with different software and play around with different synths, with different kinds of synths, and try to make this or that, try to imitate this or that. And then on the first Other Americans record, I kind of found a place to make, to like include that, make a lot more electronic, a bigger electronic.
So did you bring a lot of that electronic influence into that band?
I think I did it first, and now everybody's kind of like,
everybody's into it.
Yeah, everybody kind of like, yay, let's do that. And so like, and after I did it on Other Americans, on that first Other Americans record, and I had a chance to really play around and figure out how it best fit into songs as I understand them, then it was like, okay, I can do this. I can absolutely make something on my own. Like, no question. And I had no idea what that was going to sound like. And the first MDS record is really weird because it just kind of goes in a bunch of different ways. And it's got a lot of weird textures that it's like I would not make those same choices now. But, but it was like, oh, well, it was a first thing.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be here without it, right? So it's part of the story.
Yeah, I'm delighted to have done it. Oh, yeah.
I'm listening to some of the drums in this song, man, and
Okay, so this is another like total like #goals type song. Like,
okay,
every time I make a record, I try to have at least one song that blows a huge kiss to the Jesus and Mary chain, and this was my right.
Okay.
Which is why the drum sounds are like excessively 80s, because I was like trying. The snare from Head On is probably God's favorite snare drum that's ever been recorded. Like, I'm sure that song is God's favorite song. Like, positive.
And I love these conversations, man. This is great.
But, like,
thank you for fucking coming on the show and everything. I love this.
Thank you for having me. But yeah, so this one, I did this one, and like, and it's funny because I was like, this is my Jesus and Mary chain, love letter kind of song, and I was excited to send it to Barb because Barb, Barb's band opened for the Jesus and Mary chain, in 1990 whatever, and like, and I sent it to Barb, and Barb was like, it sounds like a John Hughes movie. I was like, fuck.
Hey man, I don't know. That's not a bad thing to me, but
nah. They're right. It does. It sounds like a John Hughes movie. Like if John Hughes wrote a Jesus and Mary chain song, it would be that. Yeah.
So I gotta ask, what's the Jesus and Mary chain song on Vice?
Oh, I wasn't doing it then.
Oh, okay.
This is just if it's just me, I'm gonna make it. You know, I can get. I don't have to like sneak one past. Actually, you know what though? Now that you mention it, the Jesus and Mary Chain song on Vice is Oklahoma.
Holy shit! I was thinking that in my head, and I was like, that can't be it. There's
yeah, if you go back
lyrics
to it,
awesome.
There's a guitar part that probably quotes April Skies. Like,
I'll go give that a close listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this one's weird. This song, I was like trying really hard to do Sisters of Mercy. I was like, I'm gonna start out with like a Sisters of Mercy beat and see what happens. You know, I was like, you know, fucking Sisters of Mercy are awesome. And somehow I ended up at like, I started at Sisters of Mercy and ended at Southern Death Cult. I'm like, okay, well, I just took a little trip through goth.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
though.
whatever it needs to be.
Nah.
I'm in control, but I can tell there's something else inside my body. I'll be the one who gets convicted when I promise to try.
This is getting right down to that ugly stuff you were talking about earlier a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this one was like this one was before I linked up with Barb, and it was probably the closest I'd gotten to anything truly ugly until that.
Yeah, which
And then-
bravo, right? Because that's one of the goals of the writing, and to keep digging down there. So that's a hard place to get to, and yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's like kind of, for me, that's the place I always want to go. I don't know. Yeah, I think somehow that's just like my orientation to music is that like somebody else is going to write the song about a car,
Right.
or write the, you know, somebody else is going to have the hook about, you know, how we party all night or whatever. And
Right.
you know, and like they don't need me on that. Like I need to be someplace else. Like my calling is to do, you know, is to do something that's just a little bit more.
Get dark, man.
Yeah, a little darker. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that though, and I've said it on here before, but I really connect with that thing about, and I forget the source of the quote, but the thing about, you know, one of the ways of looking at art is to make the things that only I can make, or only you, Brandon, can make, or only you, Nate, can make, right? And that's one of the things that I really connect with, and one of the ways I both think about my own stuff, and one of the ways to really connect with other people's stuff is when I see somebody or hear somebody getting down to something that only they can do. I love that.
Yeah. That's like, you know, I guess it's kind of popular in some circles right now to be really upset about the Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush being, you know, a big, like a whole new generation of people just discovered it because of Stranger Things, right?
Right.
But it's like, to me, that's what, like, the fact that song endures is it endures specifically because only Kate Bush could have done that. Like that's a Kate Bush song, and nobody else had a chance to rope that one. Like that was hers, always, you know. And those are always the artists that, you know, that I care about a lot. Those are the ones that I fall in love with. That's
Well, and I think I posted a quote, you know, something to the effect that, you know, I'm not trying to be better than anybody, just better than I used to be, or something to that effect, which is, I think, I mean, it gets to the point of being trying to be the best version of whoever you want to be, and sometimes that's really hard to do, is trying to filter out what maybe isn't so much you, or allowing yourself to express what you want to express instead of, I don't know, some like I don't know, the word I'm trying to look for now, but some censored version of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing that's the concept of a personal best or a personal record is really underrated as an artistic goal, right? Like I think way more if you're a young artist, especially, or if you're an old artist, any type of artist, set a personal best with your next project, you know, or your next writing session or whatever. Stack those personal bests up, and you'll get somewhere.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I don't know, like there's something about like that, the like early part of being an artist, like before you even really know that you're an artist, you're just like, I make beats, play the guitar, whatever.
Right.
Before the artist part really gets hooked into you, when you're just sort of like doing and appreciating that people around you are appreciating it, and like that's a really, like, I feel like that's a really delicate time, and that's the time in which people get twisted about what they should be doing. Like, like, do you trust the social media scrolls to tell you what's relevant and what's cool, or do you trust you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I wish somebody would have pulled 18-year-old me aside and been like, don't ever bet on anything but you. Like, don't never bet on what anyone else says is cool. Bet on you and you exclusively, and like appreciate other people's shit, but do not look to it for direction, because there's none. You will find nothing. And if somebody had like broken me off that when I was 18, it might have, you know, I might have wound up in a healthier place when I was.
Yeah.
But
you never know exactly what might have happened if you got the advice you wish you had gotten. But
right.
At least you can pass that on now to younger people, or you know, make that kind of be something that you pass along to people that are coming up behind you.
Yeah, if anybody ever asks, I mean, that's the answer. It's just like, do the deepest version of you that there is. Don't, you know, withhold nothing, and just do that. Don't be, you know, if something else comes along, if you hear something on the radio that like makes you feel shook, like, oh my God, what's that? Like, spend some time with it. Don't react. Like, don't live your life reacting to other people's art. Like,
I find myself falling into that trap a lot. Like,
yeah, me too.
Like,
all the time.
Putting artists on pedestals and being like, I'm never gonna be that, and like, I don't know if that's the point. I mean, admire them for what they are, but don't make your how am I trying to put this? Don't make your version of how you feel like you're successful dependent on like a comparison to something that you're not. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I mean, are you someone that goes back and listens or enjoys listening to like stuff that you recorded a while ago?
Nope. Like, once a record's out, I don't ever need to hear it again.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
I just, you know, I don't reconnect with it like that. Like,
yeah.
You know, and, you know, I only make records so that I have something to perform. You know, like, I don't have like, I'm not Trent Reznor. I'm not Brian Eno. I'm not, you know, Peter Gabriel. I'm not one of these like hole up in the studio for 3 years and just crank out masterpiece after masterpiece and just be a creature of the studio. And it's like, I like the studio. I really do. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't. But like the whole reason to write a song is so that I can get up in front of people and sing. You know? And that like, you know, so that I have something to sing that I believe in. So I don't have to just go to fucking karaoke and do Ziggy Stardust.
Right.
Well, and for the bulk of the records you've made, you've sung those songs a bunch of times too. So it's kind of like you don't. It's not like they're not fresh in your mind for the most part, right?
Right.
Or like you didn't spend years with the material after it was recorded.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I started to think that maybe it was just like a weird thing about me that I just don't feel nostalgic about old songs. Like there was a minute where like somebody was talking about doing, this was like years ago, before Aaron passed, that somebody was talking about a Gadgets reunion, and I was like, I don't care. Like we can do that. It would be fun to play. It would be really fun to play, but the part I'm not looking forward to is having to go back and listen to that record and relearn those songs.
Figure it out.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's like,
I think, what do you guys think? I think musicians are kind of 50-50, roughly, right? On like whether you listen to your own stuff. But it does, I see it as pretty split. Like you don't find a lot of musicians that are like neutral on that topic.
I guess I listen to it, I think, so much before it comes out, and I enjoy it, and then it comes out, and there's like a period of like, I just feel sort of deflated about it. I'm like, yeah. And then, I don't know, it's so weird sometimes. And then sometimes I enjoy going back and listening to some songs, but like, yeah, like it's released and I feel like, oh, I'm excited and I build up and then it's released and then it's kind of like, yeah, it's out. like I'm trying to be excited. I'm trying to be excited about it because I want other people to be excited about it, and I am excited about it because it's out. But like, I don't know. I mean, it's the weirdest thing. I don't know.
It's exhausting trying to like breathe life into something. Like, and you just get tired after that, and you're just like, oh yeah. Like, you know, and if you don't have a world tour to embark on, and you know where there's like an audience that's going to help you reinvigorate that material absolutely every night. Like if you're Tom Petty, you're still pretty stoked on everything you wrote for She's the One because you're still playing it. Yeah. You know. And there's a crowd there that's like giving it new life night after night, and
that's giving you the energy back. Yeah.
And if you're kind of like more like a working stiff like me, then you know you just have to be sure that you're prepared to get up there and sing it like it was the most important time you ever sung it, night after night. And when you're really lucky, you'll get some of that energy back, or maybe not.
I mean, that's not to say I don't love my own songs. I mean, obviously, you know.
Well, yeah, but it's like, you know, the relationship. Like, I always get bummed out when people talk about their songs. Like, oh, my songs are like my children. And I hear that, I'm like, shut the fuck up. It's like, you unself-aware twat. You feel like your songs are flawless. Right. Is that it? Is that what you're telling me? You can't perceive that there's anything you would have done better if you had 2 more hours to work on that. You know,
that's exactly the point.
You know, and I don't. Yeah, so I kind of don't buy that. And it's like, my songs are not like my children, or if they are, I pack their asses off to college, and you know, I'm just like, call. You know, come back and take care of me when I'm old. I don't know. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's a good image. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you'll be worth some royalties or something later.
Yeah. You better call it a good story.
Yeah.
Don't call from jail.
That's hilarious. Yeah, right. And like I've said this before, maybe it was last week, I don't know. I've enjoyed this conversation, but I have to say I'm a little disappointed we haven't listened or focused more on the music because I really fucking dig these songs, man, and I dig this record a lot.
Thank you.
And yeah,
I feel you, Nate, and also the conversation we've had makes me appreciate it more and just understanding more of kind of how it fits into your life and into your artistic journey, and so I don't know, a little from column A, a little from column B, right?
Yeah.
Validating your desire.
And we've still got time. I mean, is there a story
so-
behind any particular song or?
Yeah, what about this, man? This is obviously a little bit of a different vibe.
Right. Okay, so this was actually, so I wrote the other version of this song first and demoed it, sent it to Barb, and I sent it to Barb, and literally within 5 minutes I get a text back. It's like, dude, did you write this to yourself? And I was like, oh, yeah, a little bit.
Did you play the piano on this?
No, this is actually my uncle, who's who's been a professional musician.
Okay.
A sideman, a film scorer,
Sure.
A composer. His entire life, he's never had a straight job. He used to play with the Pointer Sisters. He played with the Pointer Sisters, and Neil Sedaka and a whole bunch of people. Played on a Tom Waits record. Yeah,
this is great piano.
Barb really got into me with the digging for the personal shit in this song, because it's a big, it's like this big kind of melodramatic story about masculinity and the, toxicity of that, and one of Barb's favorite things to do is to be like, you should do an acoustic version of this. You should do an acoustic version. If it's a really personal song, they want you to, Barb wants you to strip it down and make it as they want that raw emotional thing. That's like the coolest part of Barb as a producer, right? Is they want the raw shit. They don't want you to dress it up with fancy kick drums. And I was like, well, so they basically ordered me to create an acoustic version. And I was like, well, the acoustic guitar is not coming out of the fucking case. That I can tell you right now, but let me think about this. And so I just spit out a stem, sent it to my uncle. I was like, would you please put Bob Fosse style rehearsal piano under this?
Yeah.
And he did a version, and I was like, okay, can you change this one thing? And there was one change, and it took less than an afternoon. And I was like, there you go. And so this
is such an interesting and different.
It makes it creepier. Like a song that's already unsettling becomes even more unsettling when you hear it over Broadway rehearsal piano.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because, this version is up close. You're right. Yeah. You're breathing these words right into our faces, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that Broadway rehearsal piano, it has a tone to it that tone suggests, it suggests entertainment. It suggests that kind of cabaret theatricality,
totally
showbiz shit.
Yeah.
Right. And showbiz shit is almost never creepy like this. Like Showbiz Shit is not necessarily the most revealing. You know, a lot of it is razzle dazzle, right? Which, like, there's a Fosse term, you know, and you know, but on the flip side of that, Bob Fosse, who this is like the Fosse version of the song, right? And it turns out that Bob Fosse is like a kind of a big deal to me, but like Bob Fosse, like his entire ethos was just about like get on stage and peel your skin off, you know, and be the most raw nerve that you can possibly be for these people, because that's what they're fucking paying for, you know. Even though he was also Mr. Razzle Dazzle and, you know, Cabaret and Chicago and, you know, Lights and Hazers and all that kind of shit. And so I thought that was like all a lot of like, I thought that kind of packed a lot of fascinating, contradictory shit into one song. And it was like, well, that makes it interesting to me, at least, you know.
Well, that's what, I mean, that's kind of what the point is, and the most important, I mean, selfishly saying, you know, speaking, the most important thing is it's interesting to you, but I loved how it ended the record that way, which you said it, you know, it's a spooky way, and you know you're listening to a you know, an electronic aggressive, you know, record, and then the final song is just like Howie said, just really in your face, intimate, sort of dark, raw track.
You know, and when you listening to both of you now, it's made me just realize I wasn't even conscious of this, but like I've been hearing the synesthesia for the whole album has been very stage lights, and like the album cover is lots of color, kind of rainbow, and so it's been very theatrical maybe, or very colorful for sure. And then that last track, that Fosse version of Men Like You, totally feel stage is dark, single spotlight is exactly the visual that evokes. And honestly, I've been listening to this record with those colors and those lights in mind, and was never conscious of them until you guys were just talking right now.
Yeah, it feels like it switches to black and white for me.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like it goes to black and white at that point in the record, which I like that. I tend to be. I didn't realize that I was as cinematic in my thinking as I am. Like, I really tend to like visualize things, and you know, and make things that are, you know, I make a lot of music that actually sounds like it should be in a movie, or sounds like it should be in a video game or something like that. Like, and it doesn't sound like it should be anywhere else sometimes. And so it was like that song in particular was like, okay, well, let's just consciously make it like, you know, the dark wave version of a chorus line, or, you know.
It's just interesting because of, you know, I think, you know, as a listener, you're not fully aware of maybe what the lyrics are saying. You're just like into the music because of everything that's going on, but then you're forced to just, you know, kind of be immersed in this, in that story at the end, and there's nothing for you to really, you know, nothing that takes distracts you. I mean, maybe the piano, but that's just kind of, to me, it's the intimacy of the lyrics and how it draws you in, and just the contrast to the rest of the songs on the record. Is jarring as a listener, and kind of wakes you up. It kind of slaps you in the face and makes you, if you're just kind of like hopping along to it, it's like, oh, this is a whole other thing.
But that's, I mean, a Darkwave chorus line. That's perfect. You Will Hear Thunder by Mensa Deathsquad, Brandon Phillips. We'd love to have you. This is the show ending. You don't have to leave.
Yeah.
But we are gonna let the listeners go. This has been the Long Play Listening Party. It's been great to have you on, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thank you both very, very much for having me. I really appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, it's been a great time.
Definitely.
Been the Long Play Listening Party. Later, everybody.